How's it going, everyone? Today I have one of the craziest story times ever of a babysitter, but it went wrong. Well, definitely something was wrong. The babysitter was up to no good. That's definitely a light way to put it. You'll enjoy this story, so sit back, relax, subscribe to the channel if you're new and like stories. Leave a like on the video right now to claim your free nothing. And with that being said, let's just jump right into it. So anyways, we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story David. So this all happened one night when David was having a sleepover with his friends. David was 15, so he was definitely on the more older side. And he had a bunch of his friends over, and they were really into Fortnite. I think this happened. I mean, this could have really happened anytime, but this was when Fortnite was really, really popping. So David and his friends were staying up a lot later than they're supposed to. So David's mom had a pretty strict bed, or a relatively strict bedtime. She's like, all right, boys, like, all I ask is you guys are in bed or at least not doing stuff. Lights out, basically, by midnight. Like, that's pretty generous of me. That's all I ask. Anyways, though, David and his friends completely ignore this, and they're playing Fortnite till around 4 in the morning, and they're not really being super... I mean, in the very beginning, they were trying to be as incognito and sneaky as possible. David's like, dude, you have to turn off the lights, you have to turn the volume down, you have to turn the brightness down, like, we can't react. But over time, like, they were just getting more and more relaxed, which is probably worse because over time, it was just getting more and more, like, earlier, or I should say earlier and earlier in the morning. So around 4 a.m., the lights are on, the volume's up, and sure enough, David's mom gets up because she has to go to the bathroom. She walks by, she's probably thinking, oh, I must be, like, sleepwalking or something, because it sounds like my son and his friends are up at 4 in the morning playing Fortnite. Yeah, anyway, so eventually she kind of realizes, okay, maybe they are up playing Fortnite. So she walks over, opens up the room. David's sitting there with the boys playing Fortnite, chilling. Like, I don't know, there's something sweet about, like, gaming at 4 in the morning. I don't recommend it. Your sleep is much more important. But I've had a few 4 a.m. experiences with the boys. It's just like a prime time to just mess around, to frick around and find out. Anyways, she's mad. David's mom is not holding back. She's, like, yelling at all of them, or, like, whisper yelling. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced, like, the late night mom whisper yelling where she's like, bah, 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 but it's, like, still whispering, but you can tell that she is not happy. Anyways, though, so... yeah, the next day, she basically, like, cusses them. Doesn't actually cuss them out, but is, like, yelling at them, tells them to get off the game right now and that she'll talk to David tomorrow. Anyway, so the next day, they wake up and, David's mom's actually pretty chill about it, or at least it seems so, and makes them breakfast. They all leave, and David decides that he's not going to bring it up with his mom. He's going to wait for her to bring it up with him. And David's mom actually never brings it up. Well, I mean, she's about to bring it up in a different way, but... for the longest time, she doesn't bring it up. So she tells David, hey, David, like, I'm going to be gone for the weekend, and David's mom and dad are divorced, so they live in different houses. So she's the only one in the house, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to be gone for the weekend. And David in his mind is like, oh my God, like, this is great. I can have the boys over. We can be gaming till 6 in the morning if I want. I'm going to have the house all to myself, because he has had the house to himself in the past. When, like, even a year ago, when he was 14, the first time he actually was able to be in the house all by himself. I mean, his mom didn't prefer it, but he kind of grew out of the age of having a babysitter. Some people have babysitters pretty late, but I think the last time David had a babysitter was around 13, so it's been 2 years since. Anyways, though, so she's like, yeah, David, I'm going to be out, so when you get back from school, don't expect me to be there. So David's hyped. He's telling the boys, like, oh, man, I'm going to have the house to myself. We're going to have 2 nights. We can do whatever we want. We should, like, invite girls over. Like, this is going to be so gas. Anyways, David walks back, gets dropped off at the bus stop, walks back to his house, opens up the door, and he sees someone in the house. It's this girl, probably, like, 18 years old. And David's kind of like, hello? Like, who are you? She's like, oh, your mom didn't tell you? David looks at her with this look of, like, pure confusion. She's like, oh, yeah, I'm your babysitter. And David's like, what? Yeah, so anyways, sure enough, the babysitter goes on to explain that David's mom had requested that she comes over for the next 2 nights. She's going to leave around 12 or so, but just basically to make sure that David is, like, all nice and safe and doesn't leave and doesn't go anywhere. And David is just, he's fuming. He's not, like, mad at her specifically because, like, she's just doing her job. She's getting a bag. Who cares? But he's just like, he's not even mad at his mom because he knew a punishment was coming. But he was just so mad because of the expectations of what a fantastic weekend this could have been. It just came absolutely crumbling down, got absolutely decimated. So he's upset about that, which I can personally understand. So he goes up to his room, he's like all upset, whatever, and just decides to hop on Fortnite, and he gets on a Discord call with all the boys, and they're like, yo, dude, like, we got some girls ready, like, we're gonna have a crazy party, like, your house is still good. He's like, boys, like, there's a babysitter here. And they're all like, dude, you're 15, you still got a babysitter, bro? Like, come on now. And he's like, dude, I know. Like, it's kind of our fault because we were all out at 4 a.m. You can't just put it on me. And they were like, oh my God, like we had things set up. We got like a whole, we told so many people. And so anyways, some of David's friends were like, you know what? We're going to figure this out. Like, give me a second. So they all hop off call. David's just like there playing some solo Fortnite, whatever. So about 30 minutes later, they call him back up. They're like, yo, we found like a spot for a party. Like one of our boys, like, I don't know, Diego, like his parents are out. Like, we can use his house. And, David's like, Diego, like, dude's kind of weird. And they're like, dude, look, you had a house for us. We got this stuff together. It's not our fault that you flaked. He's like, okay, fine, whatever. Like, dire circumstances calls for dire circumstances. You might be thinking, oh, why don't you just call it off? Well, they didn't want to, like, they got a whole group of people. Like, they got girls coming. They got some of the other boys coming. They didn't want a whole, like, cry, like, I don't know, the little boy cries wolf, where, like, they're like, oh, we have a great party. Cancel all your plans. Oh, no, it's not happening. And because then they're going to do it the next time, and no one's going to commit because they just think they're going to get canceled on again. Actually makes logical sense. Yeah, so anyways, that kind of comes together, and in the meantime, David's like, all right, well, can you guys at least, like, do you want to play some rounds of Fortnite before you do that? I doubt I can go. Like, at least humor me by playing some games. So they're like, okay, sure. So from around 5 to 7, so for 2 hours, they're playing Fortnite together, and it's pretty good. And then David's like, all right, I'm kind of hungry. I'm going to go downstairs. And he'd been kind of avoiding the first floor just because, I don't know, it's like, babysitter, he's 15, this girl's not that much older than him. He's like kind of feels emasculated and embarrassed. Like, I don't know, he just doesn't really want to be down there. So he walks downstairs and he distinctly he walks downstairs. And so when he walks downstairs, on his left is the living room and on his right is the kitchen. He was about to go right to go in and make like a sandwich or something. But then he looks to his left and he sees on the couch, he sees distinctly 2 pairs of feet. And last time he checked, the babysitter only had 1 pair of feet. Unless she was hiding the other pair of feet somewhere, like, I don't know, tucked into her pants. And she thought, I don't know, because she has all this free time that she's gonna, let him loose and let all 2 pairs of her feet out. But the more rational explanation is she's not the only one there. So anyway, David's like, okay, what's going on? He turns, takes a left, goes into the living room, and how do I put this? He sees the babysitter, and he sees some random guy. They're on the couch, less than all their clothes are on. You guys can either guess what they're up to. I'm not going to explicitly say it. This is not where anyone's going to learn anything new, if you know what I mean. I'm also trying to keep this as family-friendly for YouTube so they don't get mad at me. What you guys can probably understand what I'm implying here. So anyways, they kind of like freak out. They like grab like a blanket really quickly, put it over them. The babysitter's like, oh my, David, I didn't know you were coming down here. And the other guy was dead silent. Buddy was mute at this point. David's like, I'm just getting a sandwich. Turns around, walks in the kitchen, making his sandwich. The other 2 were just dead silent, the babysitter and this guy, and they're just staring at him. David's like, going around, making a sandwich, whatever. Walks back into the living room, and it's like, so, does my mom, know that he's here? And she's like, I don't know. And David's like, so do you think my mom would be happy if I told her that you and him were, doing a lot of stuff on our couch? You think she'd be happy about that? She's paying you just to sit here, basically, really easy job, and couldn't follow those instructions. You think she'd be happy about that? The babysitter's like, I don't know, but let's not find out. And at this point, David's like, okay, I'm going to go back upstairs. David walks back upstairs, and at this point, he has leverage now. And he gets on call. He's like, boys, you are not going to believe what I just saw. So anyways, he hops on call, tells all the boys he went down and saw his babysitter and probably her boyfriend or some random dude doing their business, right? Everyone I call freaks out. They're like, oh my God, like that's so crazy, dude. Like, that's ridiculous. So anyways, David's like, all right, well, what's the address for this place? What's Diego's address? I'm going to pull up. And they said, isn't your babysitter going to get mad? And David's like, well, yeah, I mean, she can totally call my mom and, rat me out, but it's a little bit of mutually assured destruction here because I'm just going to do the exact same thing back to her. So yeah, at this point, David's really just like, all right, I can do what I want. I'll do whatever I want. It's like, yeah, well, what's she going to do? So anyways, the party's going to start around like 8:30, and David's going to go to his friend's house first because they got to ride over somehow. Or not somehow, they got to ride over. So he's going to go to their house, walking distance. David walks downstairs. It's like, all right, like, I'm going to go to my friend's. I'll be back, like, before you leave, probably, maybe. Babysitter's like, no, I can't allow you to do that. Like, my whole job here is to make sure you don't leave. And David's like, yeah, your whole job was to just sit here and not do your boyfriend on my freaking couch. Like, go ahead, call my mom, do it. Because I will just call her up next and tell her what you did. So the babysitter and David have this, like, tense stare down. And the boyfriend's just like, maybe you should let him go. Like, I don't really see what the big deal is. And the babysitter, like, snaps at him. He's like, don't get involved here. And David's like, yeah, no, dude, he's got a point. To the babysitter, David's like, yeah, you know what? What's the big deal? You get paid. I get to have a good time. I don't rat you out. You don't rat me out. You get money. I get to go see my friends and, mess around. Do we not both win here? The babysitter sits there for a second. Is like, fine, whatever, go, like, leave. So at this point, David's like, hell yeah, like this, it's only up for David from here. Anyways, David pulls up to his friend's house. They eventually go to Diego's house. And so anyways, Diego's like, you get there. Diego, this guy that they don't really know, but allegedly has a free house. So they've told everyone that they want to pull up to this party to come to this place. And, they get there and Diego's like, guys, like, I don't know how to say this, but my parents are definitely coming back at 10. And everyone looks at each other like, 10? Buddy, you said you had the house for the whole night. He's like, yeah, maybe even earlier. Like, I don't even know. Like, I really don't know, guys. I'm sorry. Like, So basically, Diego kind of just wanted, like, the attention of everyone coming to his house. And he really didn't think it through because his parents were definitely coming back a lot earlier than he said. So at this point, David turns to his friends. He's like, yo, this can't last. Like, this is going to be 45 minutes of people kind of chilling. Then we're going to get kicked out or cops called. Like, this is going to be bad. And David's like, wait a minute. I have an idea. This is definitely going to be pushing it. But how about you guys come to my house? And David's friends are like, bro, isn't your babysitter there? And he's like, yeah, my babysitter couldn't do anything when I told her I was coming to your place. What's she going to do when I have some friends over at my house? What's she going to do? So David's definitely pushing it a bit here. But anyways, David's friends are like, okay, yeah, that adds up, I guess. So anyways, they tell everyone at the party and they send out like a group chat like, hey, location's being moved. Get a ride or walk over to David's house. They give the address. So anyways, David and his friends pull up. A bunch of girls pull up too. They all get to the house. David opens up the door. And the babysitter, her boyfriend at this point is gone. I think they kind of spooked him, or at least the whole thing spooked him. He wanted to leave. Babysitter's like, what's this? Like, I can't allow this. And David's like, yeah, I also can't allow you, like, doing your boyfriend on my couch. So I think we got a little bit of an even game here. And the babysitter's like, look, it's one thing for you to go to your friend's house and then come back here. It's a whole other thing for you to invite a bunch of people over. Like, how many people are even pulling up? So David's like, I don't know. That's the thing. David didn't know. And, okay, if you guys are going to throw a house party, I'm not saying you should, but a little word of advice, you have to be very, very careful with where you put the address, because at some point, random people are going to start pulling up. It's going to be a disaster, and cops will be called. David made the fatal mistake of, or at least one of David's friends, I don't think it was David, I think it was one of his stupid friends, right, posted that thing on Snapchat, like in a public story, got screenshotted 15 times, sent in a bunch of like Telegram group chats and garbage like that. Yeah, it's about to be really, really bad. Yeah, so anyways, eventually the babysitter kind of backs down because it's like, what is she going to do? And people just start piling in. And a lot of people that, like, David doesn't even know. It's getting crazy. It's getting really loud. The babysitter's starting to tweak. Like, cops are going to be called. Like, you guys got to go. Babysitter starts walking around like, you got to go. No one is listening to her. Even David started to be like, oh, I think I definitely messed up a little bit here. So at like 12 at night, midnight, there's like 100 people in his house. This house is not, there's no room for 100 people to pull up here. It's really bad. Like, people are spilling outside. They're being loud. Like, they're blasting music. Like, stuff's definitely breaking. It is really bad at this point. So anyways, David's kind of sitting there with his friends on the couch and is like, oh, like, boys, I think we messed up a little bit. And they're like, yeah, I don't know how the address got out, but I don't recognize half the people here. And David's like, you know what? It's probably going to die down soon. I think we're going to get lucky with this one. David absolutely cursed himself because as soon as he said, we're going to get lucky with this one, they hear cop sirens. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment COP down below, COP. That'll be the secret word of the day. I can see the names and faces of people who made it this far into the video. I appreciate you. The best way to support the channel, if you don't know, is to sit down and binge watch a bunch of videos while you're doing something, and comment down below, what do you do while binge watching my videos? Like, what are you doing right now? I'm genuinely curious. And also, if you listen to this on Spotify or listen on Spotify, make sure you rated my podcast 5 stars and follow it and answer any polls that pop up if you're early to the stories. Anyways, though, yeah, so sure enough, cop sirens, and David's like, oh my God. And the babysitter, who's already tweaking, is like tweaking, supreme tweaking right now. She's going nuts on this one. This one's actually kind of crazy. So she's freaking out. She's like running around like, you guys gotta go. You guys gotta go. Go, go, go. And she's like funneling them out to the back of the house. And they're all like spilling into the neighborhood because like there's no like house behind them directly. It's like into like a fort. Like that behind their house and behind the row of houses that they're on is this big kind of like forest that keeps going for a little bit and then it breaks off into like other neighbors, whatever. There's like tens and tens, if not like almost 100 kids spilling over the face. Like, it's insane. It's so loud. They're all running back into the woods. Eventually you hear a bump, 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 knock on the door. So the babysitter and David, they both go up to the door and they open it up. And there's 2 police officers. The lights are flashing. They're like, hey, we gotta notice that there was like a party going on, like tons of people here, way too loud, way too late. And he looks at like David, he's like, you guys are probably too young for this too. The babysitter's like, no, like there's a couple people over, but we felt like they were getting too loud, so we asked them to leave. And one of the cops kind of like looked behind the babysitter and looked at like people like jumping over the fence into the forest, like running away, like moving in the forest. And the cop sees that and then just doesn't say anything about it. I think he wasn't trying to dig too deep. Yeah, so anyways, they're able to convince the cops that like nothing really was going on. They're like, hey, like if we hear another noise complaint, like it's gonna be there's actually gonna be consequences. For now, we'll give you a warning, but just realize like we're giving you a warning and you're on thin ice. We're gonna go. We better not be back. We better not see you again, basically. Cops leave. Babysitter, David, and David's original like 3 friends sit down on the couch. There's like broken stuff everywhere. It's all messed up. Like stuff's probably definitely stolen. That's another thing. Don't like if you have a house party, make sure anything that could be remotely valuable is not there. You got randos in your house, they're definitely going to lift something. Just a little word of advice. Anyways, they're sitting on the couch. It's all like dead silent. And David's like, my bad. David breaks the silence by being like, my fault, G, like this is on me. The babysitter's like, David, you don't know how much trouble we all almost got in there. Like I've been to some of these where it gets nasty. Like we lucked out. So anyways, no one else is there at the house. They go through and they're basically cleaning till 2 a.m. The babysitter's like, I'm so tired. Like, I'm just going to crash on this couch. Like, you guys go to bed. You boys go up there. I don't know. I don't believe you have a safe ride back, so just stay upstairs. David goes up. Everyone just immediately falls asleep. They wake up the next day. It's Saturday morning. And the babysitter gets a call from David's mom. And they're all sitting at the breakfast table. And they all freeze. And the babysitter's like, oh, my God. Like, David, this is a call from your mom. And David's like, oh, my God. Like, did the neighbors call her or something? Like, did they say that there's police at the house? Like, oh, my God. They all start freaking out. David's mom's like, hey, how's it going? Babysitter's like, good. Babysitter's not trying to reveal any information until she knows what the mom knows. But she also has no idea what she's going to say if the mom brings it up. So it's very tense. Mom's like, hey, just checking in, making sure everything's good. Everything's good? Babysitter's like, yeah, no, David's been cool. It's been good. Mom's like, all right, cool. I'm actually coming back a little bit early. I'll be back midday today, like probably at 12. So I actually don't need you tonight, but I will give you half compensation since maybe you change your plans. Babysitter's like, that sounds great to me. Anyways, puts down the phone. Babysitter's like, all right, one more sweep of this house. If even a little thing is out of place, your mom's going to be suspicious. So basically they go around the whole house, looking outside, seeing if there's anything like random that's like on the roof or something like that. Anyways, so eventually the mom comes back and the babysitter's paid. Babysitter leaves. The friends are gone by that morning, because if the friends were over, that would have been like a big red flag too. And David's mom was like, oh, you were pretty good this weekend. Like, I'm sorry for kind of just throwing a babysitter on you. I just thought I needed you to be punished, and I guess I thought the surprise would be interesting and serve as a lesson or something. David's like, yeah, Mom, it's cool. I was up with my friends too late that night anyways. So David's mom's like, you know what? You can go hang out with your friends tonight. You probably thought you were going to have a fun weekend, and you really didn't. So you can go hang out with your friends. And for a second, David was going to be like, no, Mom, I'm actually good. But then he realized that would have been mad suspicious. So he was like, yeah, I'll call up the boys. I'll see what they're doing. And to this day, David's mom has no idea, unless someone sends her this video. And then David is super screwed. So David, I don't know, man, like kind of a questionable call having me tell this story, but okay, buddy.